Mr. Fisk. If we fire again this week, there could be a black hole under Brooklyn.
He's gonna say, you've got 24 hours.
You've got 24 hours.
What this means?
When someone is so powerful, they're not used to people saying no. They're used to people jumping through hoops and making things happen for them. And that also happens with people that lean towards being narcissists and also people that are more sociopathic. They don't have the same amount of empathy. They just want it to happen and happen now. Even being told no can cause someone that has those personality traits to be really angry, really aggressive, or really rigid about that. Now, I'm going to give my little disclaimer. Being a narcissist or having sociopathic tendencies does not mean that you are homicidal, does not mean that you are dangerous. But it does mean that you have less empathy for what other people are going through. And usually the way that you see the world is good things are things that happen good for you, and bad things are things that happen bad for you. And so because of that, you see everything only the way that it relates to what you get, your costs versus your benefits. Here we see a completely different Mr. Fisk. We see him clicking on the pen. Some people just do to burn off energy, but it also can be a sign of having anxiety. It's a way of us burning it off. It's like having a fidget spinner, having something that you do repetitively. It actually is quite soothing for us. A lot of times when people are going through trauma, we actually give them repetitive behaviors that happen over and over again that makes them feel calmed. Because it's something that's physical and something that has like a sound effect, so it has this tactile and it has an auditory effect to it, it also keeps our brain a little bit more occupied. That breath, when we have so much anxiety, we're in so much distress that we're not able to regulate our carbon dioxide to oxygen levels. So what happens when we're really anxious, our body is getting ready to fight and we're doing kind of chest breathing. And you can tell from his face that he's in distress, that he's thinking of something that's really painful for him or causes him a good deal of anxiety. And so he's starting to do that mouth breathing. And I love that each click shows a different scene in his memories. In each of these scenes, it's him as a father, it's him as a husband. This is not him in his role of being a mastermind of a criminal crime syndicate. This is just him in his personal life, the things that really matter to him. And I love that even his outfits are completely different, right? Like he's wearing the dad sweater. This is us trying to see the things of loss that he's gone through. And we don't really know what someone else has been through. We see people often just in the aspect or the facet that they allow us to show to others. And for Kingpin, he doesn't want to show anyone else weakness or the things that actually harm him or mean something to him, because he would fear that that would be used against him or they would see this as a sign of weakness. And neither of those things are true. The things that we care about actually make us stronger, that we can love something enough, care about something enough that its loss matters to us, really is a sign that he isn't just a hard, cold-blooded killer that doesn't have any thoughts, feelings, or emotions.
Dead Spider-Man.
Wilson, what are you doing?
Vanessa.
Richard, come on.
And you can feel the real pain as the realization of him seeing her, of her seeing him through her eyes, and that it isn't what she expected of him. She didn't know this side of him and how scared she was. And you can tell that he reflects back that fear that she feels. So hard to say. Wait, let's do it back. That shock of him seeing her see him reflected in her eyes. That realization that who she thought he was is not who he is always. He might have this really soft, warm side when he was at home and was a dad and a husband. It doesn't mean that someone is all bad just because they have an aspect to them that is bad. And in this case, he does a lot of really horrible things. But I think that we can often be so black and white that we kind of lose parts of who someone is because of that. And I don't think that that's really fair. Someone can do horrible things, but also have some aspects to them that may not be as horrible or might even be endearing. And so we are much more complex than this black and white image. And so I love that they show his motivation as something that I think that all of us can relate to. If you've lost a loved one, what would you do to get them back? How far would you go? Would you risk destroying the entire universe to have a few more moments with them? I think that we would all want to say, no, we wouldn't do that. But I think in those painful moments that it's definitely understandable, if nothing else.
Prowler, what are you waiting for? Finish it.
But there you can see that cold, hard Kingpin is also there. That's also part of him. And so does that mean that there's parts of him that are redeemable? Well, me as a therapist, if it all depends on the levels of empathy and the levels of sociopathy, how much can we reach that? We've found that people strongly on the sociopathic scale, it's hard for them to feel empathy. They feel pseudo emotions. And so because of that, therapy does not work really well because you have to want to change. And for a lot of people that are more sociopathic, that have ODD or obsessional defiant disorder, they have less of a want to change those behaviors. And if you don't want to change these behaviors or you see them as a strength, therapy is not going to be useful for you because I can't make someone want to change. I think a lot of people bring someone to therapy and hope that I will give them this light bulb moment that will make them want to change. You really have to want to change to be able to practice and do the tools. Therapy is work. And if you don't do that work, you're not going to get the benefits from it. It isn't just talking. Talking can give you the realizations, but then you have to alter the behaviors and do different things to be able to put these different tools and thought processes into practice. So I don't really know from the amount of information that we have from this version of Kingpin of how far has he gone, how much empathy does he have, how much would he change in order to have his wife and son back. That's definitely something that shows that there are some strings of want there. But is it just control or is it actually love? That also is a very difficult question to answer from the small clips that we have on him. He also doesn't hesitate to have to do whatever he has to do, including kill people, in order to get them back, to get what he wants. So that definitely shows that his level of empathy for others is on the lower scale. Or of course he could be desensitized, but it seems more like his empathy scale is really low. But let's be honest, he's doing it for himself. This is quite selfish, but a lot of us have a lot of selfish traits in us. Even when we're doing kind and good things, it's often because we enjoy that feeling of doing good things for others. And so a lot of times when we try to show that we're altruistic and caretaking, it's also for underlying selfish reasons, even though everyone else would say how self-sacrificing that is. The dynamics of human behavior are much more nuanced than we would like to believe.
I can't wait to kill one more Spider-Man.
Where am I?
What?
Wilson. Is this what you want, man?
What are you doing?
Stay away from me.
Vanessa?
And I think that it's exceptionally realistic that he would stop everything that he's doing, even if he has Spider-Man right in his grasp, when he sees the thing that he wants more than anything else, which is his wife and his son back. When we've been wanting something so badly, he would definitely blank out. Nothing else would matter. I actually think that he would run after them for even longer and completely forget about Spider-Man altogether for those moments and then be really angry that he blames him from stopping him from being able to have this chance, this moment with his wife and son.
Vanessa, Richard.
What are we doing here? I don't know, Richard.
Vanessa, it's me. You know me.
And I really feel for him in that moment where he says, "You know me." And so I think that those flashes of those scenes are how he actually sees himself. I don't think that he really registers the horrible things that he does. I think that he sees those just as an ends justifying a means, not really even as good or bad because of that low level of empathy. He just sees them as a process in order to get something done, to do what he has to do, because he sees that as good. And I don't think that often we really see what we do as wrong. I think that we often, it's just a threshold. It's so much easier to just take one little more step forward towards something. And so someone else may see a huge difference in behavior or change. But for us, the change is just incremental. And incremental change we don't register really well. And that's why if you haven't seen someone for years, you may be like, wow, you've gained weight, lost weight, completely changed. You're so much happier. But for you, you might not have noticed anything at all. And so it seems though, for Kingpin, he really sees himself as those images that he saw, and that, you know me, this is not who I am, even though right at this moment while he's saying that, he has this little young Spider-Man in his grasp by the neck as he's going to pummel him to death. You can tell that there's this cognitive dissonance that's happening for him. He doesn't register this as such a horrible thing.
We're leaving now.
Don't go! Stay with me, please.
When you are rich, powerful, in all of this control, you've probably never had anyone say no or something that they cannot do. Even if they can't do it, they probably will say yes anyways because they're scared of you. And so he rules with this iron grasp, and he controls people with power, money, influence, fear. In this case, this is someone that he can't do that to. And so that please is this begging please, this really hopeful please, which I know I shouldn't feel bad, but my levels of empathy are really high, but I feel really bad for him in that moment, because I think that for all of us who've dealt with loss, we can understand what that want feels like and how much that hurts, even for Kingpin. So can him having Vanessa and his son actually change his levels of empathy or make him a better person? Yes, actually, there have been cases of people that are in the very violent end or scale of sociopathy who have said that the people around them really did help them see a different way, want to be better, want to do things differently. And so I think that her loss definitely kind of pushed him over the edge. And because she was then taken from him, he didn't even have this chance to try to prove it to her or gain her back or win her affections again. And I think that that was really hard for him.
The real Spider-Man couldn't even beat me. You know? You took my family.
He's so upset and so enraged. And I don't even think in this case it's even about Spider-Man. I think that it's that thing of losing something, not having to control it. You want to then be able to try to, anything that tries to then get in your way, you want to destroy. But I think that a lot of this is also projection of that loss that he's already dealt with, and it's been right in his face. And Spider-Man is that piece that is right in front of him, because if he really felt secure in who he was in his position, would he have to brag and share and destroy things? This is a sign of having low ego strength, that he doesn't really believe it. And that's where we would go from having perhaps more of a narcissistic personality disorder, or at least those traits, because that bravado, that having to step, break, deal with others in such a dismissive or humiliating ways are to make us feel bigger and tougher and broader. That is to try to cover up from the fact that we actually feel sad or broken or weak on the inside, and we don't want anyone else to see it. Because true, stable self-esteem can be quiet and can be respectful and can be classy, because it doesn't need to force it, because it's true. These are my thoughts on Kingpin and his journey, and I love that they used a motivation that is not this, evil mastermind, I just want to destroy the world, but something that I think that all of us can relate to. You can let me know if you relate to Kingpin's journey in the comments below. And it really helps my channel if you like, subscribe, or share the video. Do all of them, please, because my channel is still really small. We're hoping to grow to be bigger, so thank you to everyone that does, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.